You, I believe, have picked Kentucky to win tonight. Why?
Because of their depth, because of their talent, because of their poise, because of their experience, because of the momentous run that they're on right now. They have figured it out. At the beginning of the season, Dan, I always love talking to you because you always have that great perspective of how this plays out in the culture, in the world, in the time that we live. And so with Kentucky at the start of the season, when everybody's saying this is the greatest team in the history of basketball. I mean, come on, the guy hasn't even played a game yet. And so they were all listening to this hype and all this nonsense and how it's and they're never going to lose a game, and they printed up their shirts, and then it all fell apart, and the guys were all going off in individual directions. But give John Calipari a big gold star. I have become a huge fan of Coach Calipari's and his ability to stay focused on the team. Now, what he did a couple years ago with the Anthony Davis group, when they only lost the one game on the way to the title, and that team epitomized the style that we love in basketball, which is unselfishness, full court press, get up and down, shoot jumpers, attack the glass. And now this team is a little bit more methodical, and they're kind of waiting for the action to come to them. But it really wasn't until, Dan, that the Wildcats realized that, hey, if we start losing games now, we have no chance. And so now their commitment to the team is excellent, and their pursuit of the ball on the offensive glass. If I'm UConn, I back way off. I pack it in. They don't make Kentucky. They don't make outside shots until the game is on the line. Now, what Kentucky is going to face at some point, if they play all these close games, they're going to lose one of those if they keep going down to the buzzer every single time. That's a very tough way to work your way into the history books.
Is UConn then, do you think they're capable of being that team that says, all right, you can't always hit the big shot? Is UConn good enough to be there at the end to have the chance to steal it?
On paper, no. But I thought they had no chance whatsoever against Florida. And, Dan, you and I have watched so much basketball together, and to be able to see how the little guy can win, and that's really the challenge, say, for the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Minnesota Gophers where you are right now, is how do you beat the big boys, and that's the story for Connecticut. So Napier, very good. Will he be able to play against bigger, stronger guys? Napier, after a terrible start against Florida, he just completely dominated. And then the littlest guy in the game, the little pretty boy boat ride out there, he's just dancing around, having a grand old time. And they're showing his mom every other play and how great that is, and the relationship between the moms and the children, and everybody just having so much fun here in Dallas at the Final Four. But will Boatwright be able to do that on an even higher level? Because I thought it was going to be a Florida-Kentucky final, and Kentucky would beat Florida because of their offensive rebounding and size and strength over the top. The real question for Kentucky, because Boatwright and Napier will play well, but the question is, will Daniels and Giffey be able to get it done? Only a couple guys they got there. Are they broad enough? Are they tough enough? Are they fierce enough? You know, those guys, they wore Kaminsky down. Kaminsky's a fine player. And the Wichita State game, the Louisville game, which was a phenomenal game, and the Michigan game, which was just absolutely incredible. But Michigan, who had really no interior defensive presence, you are never going to win big time unless you control the paint. Unless you are willing to fight for that ball underneath the basket. We've seen that Randall and Johnson and Young and Lee and Poitras, we know those guys are just going to keep coming right at you each and every time. And unless Connecticut can keep them off the glass somehow, back off them, let them shoot from the outside, and then who can really rebound? And that's why I think if Connecticut had a couple of my favorites from Minnesota, if they had Kevin McHale and Kevin Love up there on UConn's team, they'd have a much better chance.
Hey, if Kevin Love, the big question here, you mentioned Kevin Love a couple times. You know his game well, and you love him. But, of course, he's got that out in his contract. So people here are paranoid that the Wolves are going to have to deal him if, indeed, he doesn't want to stay here. Will he stay here? Should he stay here? What would you counsel him to do?
It's his life, and chase your dream. It's the same story with Dwight Howard. It's the same story with LeBron James. You got to create a culture where people want to be on your team, in your town, in your community. That's what the Knicks are going to get with Phil Jackson. He is going to create a culture in New York. It's going to be perfect. And the challenge for Glenn Taylor and the challenge for Flip Saunders and all the guys, Rick Adelman up there, is, hey, This is fun. This is cool. This is a great life. Make your choice. But if they don't want to make that choice, don't get hung up on it. Somebody else will want to come in there. Come on. Lewis and Clark came through years ago, and people just still keep coming. Yeah. And so you have to, in the world of selling, which this is all really about, Dan, is that ultimately you have to sell yourself. And Minnesota is a quality place. You've got great people there. You've got a great basketball atmosphere, history, tradition. And you got to say to Kevin, the same way that everybody else had to say to Dwight Howard and LeBron and Phil Jackson, this is what we got. We're proud of this. You want to be a part of it, great. If you don't, you're on the other team, and we don't like you anymore.
Bill Walton, our guest. A final question for you, sir.
Yes.
Not long before you had still the greatest championship game ever, 21 for 22, Memphis State. In 1973, you said
I was lucky.
Well, that you were lucky to miss the one. I think I still can't remember the one miss. To be honest with you, it's probably haunts you.
First half, grabbed their own rebound and stuck it right back in. I'm sorry. What was your question, Dan? Sorry for interrupting.
Well, that's all right. No, I love when you interrupt me. You said then, because people were asking you. You said, I'm not playing pro basketball next year. I'm coming back for my senior year. There's no question. I'm happy doing it this way. It's not just all about the money yet for me. And that segues for me into the old one-and-done issue here. You know, the circumstances are different, but what do we do with this thing? Are you happy with one-and-done? Do you want two-and-done? What do you want?
I don't like it. The way I would fix it if I were in charge, if I'm the commissioner of the NBA, I make a blanket rule. To be in this league, this is a private business, you got to be 21 years of age. You can make that rule and just say, that's the rule. Do whatever you want until you're 21 and then come and see us, and we'll be glad to take you then. You want to go to college, you want to go into the military, you want to go to Europe, you want to go to the D-League, you want to go as Larry Bird did and work on the back of the garbage truck. That's your business. But we are adult entertainment here in the NBA. We want men. We want mature citizens here. We have rules here. And that one rule that applies to you as a high school player, as a young child coming up, you've got to be 21, and then we'll be honored to have you. Dan, I am proud to be on your show today. You are the greatest of champions. Thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for being the moral compass, the shining star, and the beacon of hope in my life. I miss you, Dan.
Bill?
Say hi to Kevin Love. Say hi to Bob Dylan. Say hi to Kevin McHale and the entire state of Minnesota.
Always a pleasure. I love how you always understate me. That's what I love about you. Thank you, Mr. Walton.
We love you. Put the statue up for Dan right now. Let's go.